students and my audience worldwide. This is Professor Dr. Zia Ahmed. Welcome to YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss the novel Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. This is very significant novel with respect to its approaches which have been taken by the writer into it. In order to understand it better, let us proceed with the introduction to the writer. We know that he wrote this novel in 1915 and it became very much important, not in his life but after his life, in the sense that it contained an existential situation of the humanity or the human beings. But alongside that, there was some kind of imagination also involved, and that is why these elements, along with its characters and themes, made this novel something very important and significant. That is why today it is taught as a part of the world literatures translated into English language. Metamorphosis, as the term goes to talk about, is a kind of situation in which one body of anything changes into absolutely something different, that the identity is difficult to be recognized. The same thing happens in this novel, and as a result, it was the most significant kind of situation presented by the writer at that time when he was writing this, and therefore it became significant study of the human nature, of the problems of humanity, and what was happening to the human beings because of the modern age in which the human beings were living and were finding themselves trapped altogether. And so the a few characteristics which are very significant with respect to this novel, these may be talked about before we go deeper into this novel. This novel has got innovative narrative technique, which is the not only characteristic of postmodern literature, but also that of world literature. Here, the writer talks in the I subjective manner, but alongside that, he discusses the things objectively as well. So, in that way, it becomes a unique style of writing. Then, the existential exploration is there, how the human beings are designed by default, or what are their characteristics that cannot be that visibly present as the characteristic of the life in which the human beings live, exist, and spend their time in this world of ours. That existentialism of the humanity has also been explored very deeply. Symbolism and allegory becomes also one of the important aspects of this novel. The metamorphosis of human body into a cockroach type of thing, that is the symbol of the kind of life the human beings are living, and the kind of misery one can have, the kind of limitedness the one can undergo, and no power, no authority on the process of nature. That is all symbolically discussed by the writer. This has put a lot of influence on literature, that he was not only recognized as a great writer, but also he started to see and claim that he can write such thing which directly influences and reflects the humanity. Psychologically speaking, the novel is a great thing, and the writer has used the technique of creating ambiguity and invited the attention of the people to interpret and understand in their own way. There are many significant elements talked about in the story with reference to the history and with reference to the culture. So, in this way, these 7 to 8 characteristics of this novel make this novel a very significant one. If we look at the characters which are there in the inside this novel, we can see that the first one is Grigor Zamza. That character is the protagonist of the story. He is the one who undergoes metamorphosis. First, he is shown to be a human being, and later on, one day when he turns up into the morning time, he looks at himself and finds that he has become an insect. That is, the cockroach type of insect he has become. And this is the life he lives in 2 phases, one in the phase of man and other in the phase of that insect. What kind of feelings he has, how does he cope with all that, and how does he try to come out of it, and ultimately till the death time, what kind of struggles he wages in, and what are his feelings. So that is why that person is the novel, that person is the main characteristic, that person is the main protagonist of the story. Grete Samsa is then again another female who is the sister of Grigor. She in the beginning tries to take care of her brother and tries to help him also to compete or to cope with the situation. But later on, she becomes indifferent to that. Perhaps she feels that she is unable to deal with the situation. Mr. Samza, first of all, is a very hard one on the thinking that his son is converted into something. But later on, he feels pity and he feels good towards his son and tries to take care of him as well. Mrs. Hamza, as a mother, behaves in a very natural way that she feels upset when she has a look at her son. And then comes the clerk, who is also one of the important characters there, but his role is very much limited. These four characters become important characters in this novel, and the story keeps on revolving around these characters. The presence of these characters definitely talks about the family affairs also. If we look at the themes of this novel, it's got first of all alienation, that when the Grigor, the protagonist, is converted into an insect, at that time he becomes isolated from the society, and that goes to highlight how many people are there who are possibly alienated in this way, though they are not converted into some kind of animal. And then absurdity of the matter is there. How come one human being can convert into the insect, and the insect keeps on living like a human being, talking and eating like a human being, and thinking like a human being? This is all absurd. It's not possible. But this goes to prove the absurdity of the human life as well. There's the dehumanization aspect. Although we see that Grigor is converted into an insect, that is in fact the life which most of the human beings are living, and the society, the cultural background, and the economic conditions dehumanizes many of the human beings, though not by converting them all into insects, but they are living really the life of these people, and that is why this is called as the dehumanization of human being. Family dynamics are also clear, what the people would do at home when someone is having a special problem. How would the father and mother behave? How would the sister behave? In that way, the family dimensions are also one of the important themes of this novel. So, keeping in mind these themes are very important and are related to the human life, and they are reflecting what the life of human being has become in the 21st century and also in the 20th century. The economic problems, the imperialism, capitalism, all these things combine together with many other aspects of the human life and make so. Well, if you look at this novel as a piece of word literature, because it has been translated into English, and in that way it goes to reflect the ideology or the culture of not only the text where it was produced, but also the translator's idea is there. And as a result, we can see some of the important characteristics of word literature in this novel, and one of them is existentialism. That thing has been talked about in a very elaborate way in the novel. Like we see how the characters exist. There are many things which are by nature given to us, but definitely it's not possible for us to live according to that. This is life, this is nature, which designs our paths of life, and we need to live accordingly. So, this novel is more concerned how the human beings live in this world rather than how the human beings are. Symbolism is again one of the characteristics of word literature. Symbolically speaking, many of the characteristics of those human beings who are unable to live the life of human being is discussed in this novel. Surrealism means that there is a lot of imaginatively beautiful things created, and that makes the fascination also. Then the novel as a whole goes to present the critical analysis of the society, what the society wants to do, and what is the reaction of one individual against the society, the freedom of the individual, independence of the individual, and the reaction of the society against its claimed freedom and independence. Most of the time, it has been seen that social structures and the human beings are at odds with each other. And so, what happens when this thing occurs in any society? What is the reaction? What's the background? What kind of consequences can be there? All this combined together makes it the critical analysis of the society. We can see that metamorphosis occurs in the novel. This is a very good work, and it can be studied in a number of ways in order to understand the human condition and the complexities of modern society. In order to do that, the best text is Metamorphosis, and if it is analyzed properly in a befitting manner as the literature should be analyzed, we can see our life, our status, and or the status of the common human being in any society of the world. So this becomes the part of the reflection of human beings as they live in this world in general, not as a developed country, not as a poor country, but in general, what is the life of the human being. This novel, The Metamorphosis, goes to talk about that. Finally, we can therefore say that this novel is a masterpiece of 20th century literature and is a critical analysis of the society, of every society of the human being. Kafka has tried to capture the human condition in a very imaginative, symbolic way, but actually he forces on the existentialist life of the human being. And that is why many scholars, many people have talked about this novel and have given their opinion. So this is the novel that we are very much interested in to know. I hope that you have also learned something out of this video. If so, do not fail to hit the subscribe button and the like button also. More videos are going to come. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you soon.